Hey lovelies, you're welcome back to Reviews and Recaps. Let's talk about Married to Medicine. Is season 11, episode 2. Let's get into it. The episode started at Simone's house. Dr. Simone and her husband Cecil were talking about the Whitnick party they had organized. And they were basically talking about they ain't leaving the house tonight. Girl, I understand. I'm not even their age yet. But when I say, like, even now, I don't be drinking like that and I don't want to go anywhere. So I understand. It usually takes so much longer to recover from any outing. So I completely get that. So Dr. Simone basically was asking Cecil why he decided to invite Choir to the party. And she was not having it. She was like, it's BS. She even actually said that Quad is Cecil's favorite. I was like, okay, that's a very odd thing to say. And I liked the fact that Cecil reminded her that when she had issues with Dr. Jackie, he also was bringing Dr. Jackie around to try and help them resolve the issue. So it's not necessarily him helping Quad and not helping someone else in the past, because I didn't really like the way it was almost made to seem that Cecil is playing peacemaker only because it is Quad. I know that Cecil and Quad may have their own personal friendship or relationship, but I just think it was a little bit weird. I found that a bit weird, but let me know what you guys think about that. Also, don't forget to like, share, hit that subscribe button as we are going along. What did you think of this episode? What would you rate it? If I had to rate it, I would say a 6, because for me, I didn't feel like there was anything that memorable that happened throughout the episode. I know some of you guys don't really like Sweet Tea, but she's my favorite, at least in this episode as well. But you guys know I like her anyway. But in this episode, I would say I liked Sweet Tea and Dr. Gregory in this episode. Damon, I hated and disliked the way he was acting this episode. So we're going to talk about it, so make sure you watch this until the end. But before that, let's talk about Sweet Tea and Dr. Greg speaking about Heavenly. Before that, I want to say I actually like Sweet Tea and Greg's interaction. I remember initially I was thinking, but the more I saw them together, I guess they're both getting more comfortable being on camera. I can see their sort of, you know how you can see their synergy? I feel like I can see that on the screens as well. And you can actually tell that Sweetie genuinely cares, because I know some people have different views on why they think Sweet Tea wanted to marry Dr. G, but I genuinely think Sweet Tea loves that man. But anyway, back to what we're saying. So she talks about how badly she really wants a baby. I honestly pray that she gets the baby that she wants in Jesus' name. Because honestly, the worst part is wanting a baby and not being able to have a baby. So I really, really pray that she's able to get a baby. And it's really sad that like some people on the castmates, but even in social media, are always making jokes about her so-called perceived, I wouldn't say inability, because she's not unable, and I pray that it will happen for her, but the delay in her fertility or delay in having children. I feel like a lot of people are very insensitive. It's like, where did this world get to that people feel it's okay to laugh about someone's fertility issues when you should be praying for them and wishing and hoping that things change for them if that is what they want. So it's just like, how low has this world gotten for people to really feel like that's an appropriate conversation? Anyways, I digress. Let's get back to it. Sweet Tea started talking about Dr. Heavenly, and they both said like, yes, Dr. G basically said like they both were throwing jabs at each other. But Sweet Tea basically said she doesn't really know how to move on with Dr. Heavenly because she's always running her mouth. And this is something about Heavenly I've always said on this channel. I feel like Heavenly does a lot of things, says a lot of things all the time in the background. And it's just like, if you're going on social media talking about your castmates, you can't expect to have a good relationship with any of them. She runs to social media at the first chance she gets. I feel like Bravo allow her to do that because it brings more traction to the show. but it is annoying to be on the receiving end of it. And for some reason, I'll tell you why, the reason why I feel like she's against Sweet Tea. But I feel like for some reason, she is fixated on Sweet Tea and she wants to destroy Sweet Tea at any cost. This is my personal opinion. And I'll explain why in a second. But before that, Sweet Tea talks about the interview where Dr. Heavenly was saying the only person who doesn't fit into the group is the new girl, which is basically Sweet Tea and Dr. G. Sweet Tea basically said Heavenly clearly has no intention of apologizing, and she's not going to be out here playing in the trash with Heavenly, and I completely get that. At this point, the way Heavenly is moving is giving obsessed. I do feel the reason that Sweet Tea and Dr. Heavenly are getting into it is because Dr. Heavenly is upset that Sweet Tea said what she said about Dr. Damon and her. And the fact that she believed that Dr. Damon stepped out, okay? When Mariah was like, shall I bring the receipts? I feel like that is exactly what the issue is. I personally, in my opinion, you guys know I've covered this on this channel. My belief is that Dr. Damon had stepped out at some point and Mariah had the receipts. And I feel like the fact that Sweet Tea brought that back up means that now everyone is going to be looking at Heavenly and Dr. Damon's relationship with scrutiny, which they do not want. Heavenly wants to protect that man at all cost. She wants to protect their perceived, in quotation marks, perfect relationship for as long as she can. So I feel like because of that reason, she is not going to allow anybody to step in the way of that. And so, of course, she is upset that Sweet Tea brought that back up, because now everyone is looking, saying, is Dr. Damon stepping out? And now more eyes are being brought to that as a storyline. So I feel like Sweet Tea, that is the issue that I feel like she has with you, in my opinion. Now, I will say, I feel like Dr. G is very level-headed. Now, I don't know what his relationship with Quad was in terms of the tumultuous relationship that they had, but I'm saying in terms of how he relates with Sweet Tea, in my personal opinion, and how he's handling the whole Dr. Heavenly situation. Dr. G basically says he feels like Damon is acting weird because he's not addressing Dr. Heavenly's comments and allegations made against him. Remember, if you guys remember, Heavenly made certain allegations calling him a pedo or something along those lines, and saying that no one respects him in the medical practice or in the medical field or something along those lines. These sorts of allegations are serious. They are very, very serious and can affect someone's coins. So for you or your wife to say something like that and you should not call her to order, is like, when is enough going to be enough? Knowing fully well that if roles were reversed, neither you or your wife will stand for that. That is my personal opinion on that issue. Over on the other side, Dr. Heavenly and Damon were talking about the party and the whole thing with Sweet Tea. Dr. Heavenly was basically saying that she feels like Sweet Tea's a hot mess. I'm like, you're a hot mess too. Let's be clear. So I don't really understand why you're calling her a hot mess. Dr. Damon basically talks about Sweet Tea claiming he was a cheater. Let's be clear. Sweet Tea did not claim that you were a cheater. Sweet Tea said the wife felt like her husband was stepping out. What that got to do with Sweet Tea? Sweet Tea is just repeating what his wife allegedly told her. So it's either the wife said it or the wife didn't say it. That doesn't mean Sweet Tea is out here saying you are a cheater. She's never said that out of her mouth as far as I know. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section below. I think for me, what I found weird, Heavenly is Heavenly, right? Not that we condone her behavior. We call her out constantly on this channel. But at the same time, Heavenly is Heavenly. Damon has always acted like the reasonable, level-headed person, but he's exposing himself to be just like Heavenly, in my opinion. So in his confessionals, he was basically saying that he feels like Dr. G, he's known him for a long time and he shouldn't switch up just because he has a new spouse. If anything, I wouldn't say Dr. G switched up. You, Damien, is who I would say switched up. And we'll talk about it in a little bit more detail towards the end of this video, because I feel like I really want to cover the men really going at it. And I feel like that needs to be a separate portion than me bringing it up here at this stage. But let's move on to Quad's birthday party. Quad gave invites to her birthday party. I was just like, all this Quad air, it was just unnecessary. I'm an extra person, in complete honesty, right? But if you're going to do the Quad air thing and have these people dressed like flight attendants, right? Let us feel like you're taking us from where we are at into Paris, like you said. I didn't see no Eiffel Tower. I didn't see anything that gave the vibe that it is Paris, for goodness sakes, right? Like, yes, I understand you're doing this burlesque thing. I get it. But I feel like a better invite would have been doing something to let the girls know it is burlesque. Having someone perform at their doorstep, or a few people perform at their doorstep. That would have been superb. Instead, you had the whole air flight attendants thing, which I just didn't think hit. And I'm an extra girl. I just didn't think that hit for me. But you guys let me know if you guys found it entertaining. I will say, Simone came out and was hugging, and they were both laughing like nothing happened. They both know how to be fake. I will give them that. But I will say, sometimes when you have history with somebody, you always love them. So it may not even be a fake thing. It may be that you both genuinely love each other. You can't see eye to eye right now, but you know that you guys will fix it and come back together at some point. So I wonder if that is what it is. Now, Dr. Contessa and Sweet Tea hanging out, I don't really want to talk about that. I didn't really think there was anything exciting about that. Now, at Quad's party, Quad did show up and introduce her man to the girlies. Now, my thing is, the girlies, I understand that Quad don't be sharing ish. Quad doesn't share anything. Quad is secretive. I personally believe that Quad does not feel like none of these people on the show are her friends. I get it, right? However, I feel like these girlies also, let's be clear, you guys were at the reunion a couple of months ago. Before the reunion, you guys isolated her and told her to go home, and you didn't want her to be in the friend circle. You basically sent her home, right? Do you think she is most likely, even if you guys are repairing, do you think she's going to pick up the phone and be like, hey guys, I have a boyfriend, knowing fully well the whole world is going to find out because she told y'all? Of course not. So let's all think about it when we're out here pointing fingers at this woman. And this is for someone who doesn't really see it for Quad. I just think like you guys were not exactly on the tightest of friends. You've never really been the tightest of friends for her to be calling y'all up and be like, oh, I have a boyfriend. If anything, I think Heavenly, considering Heavenly is like, she's always calling her and talking to her on the phone and stuff. I can understand Heavenly feeling like, girl, you didn't even tell me, even though we're talking and casually talking on the phone. But I do understand that because I can also be a very private person. And I don't be out here sharing my business. Like, there are certain people that don't know certain things that are going on with me. However, when I do see them, we'll sit down, we'll talk about it, and I'll tell them at that stage, right? So I can understand that. I just don't think they have the closeness with Quad to expect that. And considering how everything went out last year, of course, Quad is allowed to be a little salty and not tell you ish. Would you, if you guys were in her same situation, you guys would probably still be upset about it. So rightfully so. So I will allow Quad on that one. Now, Dr. Damon and Dr. Greg, and this is where I really, really want to focus on, because I feel like Dr. Damon is finally showing us who he really is, in my opinion. I feel like the fact that he lets Heavenly do and say whatever. Now, I'm not saying you can control your wife. You absolutely cannot, right? However, you can make it clear that you personally do not agree with what it is that she is doing. But for you, Dr. Damon exposed himself this episode. And I'll tell you why I feel like you did. I feel like you must expose yourself. If you are acting a certain way towards Dr. Greg and then saying, well, I felt like I tried to refer patients to you and then you didn't take them on. And it's like, sir, so you're salty because your wife had the audacity to say all these things about me. I push back, you send patients my way, and then I can't take your patient. Why do I have to do favors for you? What it sounded like was Gregory was always doing all these favors and accommodating him, even though he was skinned in terms of timings and stuff. This time around, he couldn't accommodate the patient, so he pushed back. At the end of the day, if you can't even stand up to your wife against her saying derogatory things that could affect this man's practice, why do you think that he would make any favors for you? He's not going to do you any favors. Can you blame the man? Like, I wouldn't want to do you any favors, if I'm being completely honest. Like, if it was within my power to grant it, I would be like, sure. But for me to go out of my way, considering how you are behaving, of course not. And I don't blame him at all. So it just shows that Dr. Damon refused to correct his wife because he felt rejected by Dr. Greg. Even though Dr. Greg is like, it ain't about that. I had too many patients on. I can't just take a new person. Instead, Dr. Damon was out here thinking it was because of the feud. And my thing is, even if it was, why do you have to now start behaving and being aggressive, passive aggressive towards him, and then aggressive towards him because he rejected your patients? It's given you are undercover Heavenly. I've always wondered how both of them could be together, considering how terrible I believe Heavenly's character is. But when I saw that episode, I was like, Damon is another Heavenly. The difference is he's undercover with it. So if they hadn't addressed it, he will continue to allow Heavenly to do and say whatever and continue to do whatever because he feels slighted by Greg saying no to some of his patients. Those kind of people can delete you because you don't know what they're thinking. You may think that you guys are on good terms and everything is good, but deep down they're plotting and scheming how to get back at you for something that you don't even know you did. They kind of squashed it, but I personally don't believe it is fully squashed. I think it's going to come up again. It's only a matter of time, and it's going to probably be even more lethal at this point. For me, the biggest thing that happened today on this episode is that Damon exposed himself for being just like Heavenly. That is my opinion. Let me know if you guys agree or disagree, and let me know why in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to rate this episode in the comment section below. On a scale of 1 to 10, how good was it? How terrible was it? Let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, hit that subscribe button, and tap that bell button right next to it so you know every single time that I post. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you. Bye.